The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, Sherry's favorite day of the week, the 11th day of August, 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Teo Dill will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Happy Friday, Sister Sherry.
Happy Friday, Jamal. Aren't you excited it's Friday?
No, I'm going to miss you.
What do you mean you're going to miss me?
Because we're not going to do the show for a couple of days.
Oh, we're not?
Yeah, because there's Saturday and Sunday.
Aw.
See, I said that publicly, so you don't have to screenshot or save a voice note or any of that stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, it's you, Jamal. You're probably going to lose that beat by the end of this show.
I'm like that, though. I mean, we accept who I am, Sherry. We accept who I am.
I know. This is my last day in Bermuda, Jamal.
Really? So you head back tomorrow?
I head back tomorrow, and it was a pleasure. I saw a young lady at BGA yesterday. She didn't tell me what her name was, but she stopped. She was like, I feel like I know you. I've seen you before. And I was like, really? I forget sometimes, Jamal.
Yeah. You know, it happens like that. But Sherry, last week this time,
Somerset.
You were yelling at me, telling me, I'm not making it first bowl today. I'll be down there this afternoon. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Time goes so fast.
It does, Jamal. It really does. Yeah, I wasn't down there for first bowl, but I was definitely there for the presentation of the cup. Back to Somerset. Well, that we kept it. So yeah, it does.
We didn't have to talk about that part, but I mean, since you want to bring it up, I mean, presenting a cup to somebody that didn't win it, I mean, they just.
Oh gosh, the haters.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Good morning, Jamal and Sherry. Happy Friday, and happy Friday to you as well, Tanya Cheeseman. So greetings, everyone. Unfortunately, former Premier Alex Scott, we had to reschedule, so we're rescheduling the conversation. But he will be coming on very soon. So we rescheduled. But thanks for making us part of your daily routine. We still have a good one today. We're going to discuss the best way to respond to poor customer service in Bermuda. There's been a lot of talk about customer service. There's been a lot of talks about how best to get, fix or, the problems that you have. A lot of people run online. Is that the best way to deal with poor customer service? So we discussed that. The daily players are things you should know. We haven't done this one in a while. I have not picked a card out yet. So this is the box. I should have known that. So things you should know, Sherry.
Okay, Jamal. Okay.
I don't know what's in there yet. So I don't want you all to say I'm biased and she actually.
You are, because Sandra yesterday didn't even have to ask you for a hint. You still gave it. It's the bias, and
I gave her a hint. She didn't get the answer.
She didn't get the answer, but it's fine, Jamal. The audience sees it. We see right through you.
Anyway, folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com, and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Let's just jump right into the conversation because I don't want to be called biased anymore. I'm trying to fix all this stuff, right? I mean, I am who I am, folks. I am who I am. But, Jerry, I had someone reach out to me when I was in Bermuda, and they said, what is the purpose of Madge's List? Is it reviews? Is it complaints? And we have tried to have the lady who created Madge's List on the show. Personally, I only started using review websites recently. When I say recently, in the last 3, 4, 5 years, right? It's a thing in the United States, right? I only started giving reviews when Amazon bothered the crap out of me. You know how they keep following up and sending you emails to write a review. I've never been the person who looked at reviews simply because most of the reviews were always negative. Now you see places where they're encouraging people when they make purchases and stuff to write a positive review. And now people are saying, well, that review is not real because someone told them to do that, We have some challenges in Bermuda. We had the Bermuda Tourism Authority CEO actually say last year or earlier this year, when people were, she spoke about customer service and people were all up in arms. The truth is, the reality of it is, every day we speak about customer service in Bermuda. Yeah. It's not the greatest. We know we have challenges, but also our response to customer service probably isn't the greatest either. Our response, and the first thing we do is run online, right?
Yeah.
Is that the best way? So today, let's come up with some solutions. Let's figure out a way, because let me tell you what happens when we do the bad stuff. I'm not saying we protect bad behaviors, but a bad customer review could impact a small business that's paying your cousin, your best friend, your sister. Why? There have to be other methods in a small town. So the question of the morning, folks, is how can we best respond to poor customer service in Bermuda? Do we go to the management? Do we speak with the person who's delivering the bad customer service? Or do we run straight on the internet to teach them a lesson?
So for me, Jamal, I look at this situation, and it's not always just a blanket problem. I kind of look at, maybe the person had a bad day. Maybe there's a lot going on. Maybe things are going on with the company. So I try to take those kind of things into consideration before going to the ultimate extreme of putting something on the internet. I would probably speak to a manager. I try to keep myself calm, cool, and collected, but very stern in certain situations. But I would speak to a manager. I don't think running to the internet for a possible one-off situation is the best thing. I've been to a restaurant several times for lunch. It wasn't good. For dinner, it wasn't good. I said, okay, well, let me try it again on another day, another part of the week, and so forth. And if it is consistent, I'm like, no, I'm not doing this again. But I don't think running to the internet all the time is the best idea. I just don't.
Yeah, and audience, let us know. Have you experienced bad customer service in Bermuda before? Yes or no? Have you experienced bad customer service? Sherry, if I'm honest with you, I probably have experienced bad customer service in Bermuda. And I'll say it. It was Clarion Bank a couple of years ago, right? I think I handled that poorly because it was a new guy on the job, and I didn't like the way the bank handled it. And I say this all the time, the person at the front is usually not the person who's making the decision. They're the person that just has to communicate the policies and the rules of the organization. But I was ticked off. I was ticked off. I didn't run to the internet. I may have told a few people, but at the end of the day, I didn't feel it would change anything. No, let me be clear. There are times you go to the internet. There are. Sherry, I just told you last week, you have a bad experience with an airline, you bet your boots you better go in, sweet.
And right now I'm so scared. I have a family member who flew back just the other day. They had a really bad experience. So I'm just like, and I found that out this morning. So right now I'm just like, am really hoping that that's not my experience. But yeah, tweeting, you did mention to me, like, tweet about it. But ironically, I didn't have to, Jamal, because the things that what I would have tweeted and what I would have gotten back, you already told me that, and they automatically did it.
Mhm.
So I didn't feel the need to have to tweet about anything. But
Yeah, I learned that when I was working in tourism. I remember a client of mine said, "Look, just tweet the airline," and it worked. And they were responsive, and they said, "Call this line, and you'll be able to speak to someone right now." The problem was resolved. Twitter works in that way. It does,
mhm,
because the airline doesn't want to get into a back and forth with you publicly. Number one.
yeah,
Number two is they don't want to not answer. They don't want to ignore you. So you will get a response in certain things. In Bermuda, you're not going to get a response. It's likely you're not going to get a response from a company that you're badmouthing online.
yeah,
However, Mariko Thomas and I believe the guy from Scooter Mart have been written posts on Magic's List explaining their side of the story. I just don't think it's in the best interest of either the company or the person complaining. But I did ask, has anyone experienced bad customer service in Bermuda? And let's just go through some comments. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, recently I had a bad experience with a local business and I went on LinkedIn to find the email address of the manager of the business. Once I got the email, the issue was swiftly resolved. There you go.
mm,
There you go. You speak to them directly.
yeah.
Sean DeShield says, yes, he's received bad customer service on a consistent basis in Bermuda. Well, you know what I'm interested though, Sherry? Is it a consistent basis in one industry or is it across the board? Because is it hotels, restaurants? Is it banks? Is it retail? Like where are you receiving this consistent bad service?
Let- I don't know if you felt this, Jamal, but I felt a weird energy in Hamilton, just a weird type of energy, and I just don't know if everyone is tired. Things have changed. Business has changed. I walked into one local pharmacy and didn't see a restaurant in there, and I was like, "What's going on? It's so quiet." Just the whole atmosphere is just different. I went into the bank not too long ago, this week, and I was in there basically all day. Had a woman complaining to me. They didn't do this before. How come they're doing this? And I'm just like, well, what's the solution?
Mhm.
What can we do anything right now? The customer service wasn't bad, but maybe the method of how the banking system was working was no.
Mhm.
But I just feel like at times we as humans and individuals have to take people um, for where they are and what could possibly be going on. There's a lot going on in Bermuda,
Mhm.
but it doesn't mean that it has to be a consistent thing as well.
It's
I give
interesting.
people a bad day. I
Yeah,
do.
but it's interesting you say that because one of the golden rules of customer service is don't bring your problems to work. But that said, easier said than done because there's so much going on, right? I mean, it's it's almost impossible to expect people to separate the two in the time
Yeah.
we're living in. That's why there's therapy, there's EAP, and so on. So it's tough. It's tough. Let's go
Mhm.
back. Folks, how can we best respond to poor customer service in Bermuda? Like, what's the solution to it? What do you think we can do as a community, as the consumers, to improve? And some of us work in customer service, right? Some of us work in
Absolutely.
customer service. Tanya Cheeseman says, yes, she remembers when customer service was a thing and now seems to be out the door. So how do we fix that? How do we improve it so that it's not out the door? Sean DeShield says customer service at HSBC is a complete joke. I actually had great experiences last week at HSBC. I went in, so I had to get a new card, and I went into Monday, and they didn't have the card yet. They told me come back either Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning. So I went back Wednesday morning. They didn't have it. I called the number, and basically the person, well, after a couple of times they hung up on me. I called the number, and let me put it this way: I try not to put myself under pressure because I know I'm dealing with human beings, right? So I didn't want to set myself up for disappointment and anger, right? So
Right.
they said, "Oh, your card was delivered." So I'm like, "I just left the bank." When I went back to the bank, they were so apologetic to me. They said, "Well, sorry, Mr. Hartman. As soon as you left earlier, your card was delivered." And I ran all the way back Southampton, right? I could have been angry and mad, but what would that have done to better the situation? Is it a learning lesson? Yeah, because all I would have said is, you know what? My number's on file. If you would have just called that, I could have been right back in the bank and collected the card. But it's
Yeah.
not. But there's lessons from everyone. If someone's just leaving the bank, just, you know what? Use the number on file, try to get in touch with them. But to improve customer service, it's not going to come from us being angry. It's not going to come from us. Like, you see people in airplanes and airlines now. Now, let's be honest, there's some rude people in customer service. And we're human too. So once someone's rude to us, we may respond in the same manner, right? That's different from someone being in a position and not being able to give you what you want at the time.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out a way to fix the rude people. And let's be honest, Gary, a lot of people, they're not in these jobs because they like them. They're not in these jobs because it's what they want to do. They're in these jobs because they need to pay their bills. That's
Yeah.
the world we're living in.
And that is the bottom line of some of it. I don't know if you saw in the news one local restaurant, the employees got into a fight, not local restaurant, sorry, restaurant in the United States because the customer complained that her order wasn't correct and they assaulted her. And it's like people are tired, you know, and I know in the moment it's difficult, but we also have to check ourselves and then check if ourselves are all over the place. Maybe that person may be. Sometimes I'm like, look, I'm having a bad day.
Mhm,
And so what I might have said may have come out wrong, but this is still what I need.
mhm.
And if you're not able to help me, please just send me a manager. I have no problem in speaking with one. You know, but I'm not also the person that will go online and blast everybody. Let's talk about that. Like, what's the purpose if this is a one-off situation? If it's a continued situation, I can get it.
Mhm,
But if it's a one-off situation, we really should blast somebody for that.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I get you, Sherry. I get you. And I think that's what the cult has taken over the culture as far as these lists on social media. Question was, how can we best respond to poor customer service in Bermuda? And we did ask, has anyone experienced bad customer service? Well, Elephant 999 says, you have to be the example of good behavior and manners. Didn't believe this when I learned this, however, I changed my attitude and myself, and those around me changed also. Had to be consistent though. Go ahead, Sherry.
Cataline Stevenson Swan says, most definitely, and the service was unfortunately and unnecessary bad. And my response was very meek, passive, and quiet. She ended up creating a scene and looked like a typical negative Nancy.
Mm,
Wow. She goes on to say, by the way, sorry. By the way, this was a restaurant and I met with the owner and who turned into the negative Nancy.
mm.
Wow.
I mean, hey, some owners are going to protect their staff, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what they do. That's what they do. The question is, folks, how can we best respond to poor customer service in Bermuda? Anthony Pete says, speak directly to management. Managers and owners choose to be receptive. Your customers are your lifeline. I agree, Anthony Peets. I think that is the way to go. But Adeline Stevenson Swan just explained a situation where she did that, right? And it didn't quite work out the way she thought it would. So it's interesting. This is a I'm going to say this, and you may disagree, audience. I think our economy right now depends on good customer service. Not only on good customer service, but largely on good customer service. I think our economy depends on it, right?
It does. And I just as much as we will run to the internet for bad, let's also run to the internet for good. Also praise those persons that are giving good customer service. Go to the managers, go to the internet, because when you start to feel the positive out there, it can then turn somebody's situation a little bit different. And I don't think we do that enough. If you put it out there, Jamal, and see that this is something that can be great, then it will be.
Mhm.
So I think to kind of combat that, go talk about your positive experience.
Mhm. Good point,
You got
Sherry.
to talk about the positive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think the purpose of review websites is not for negativity. It's really to give people ideas of, somebody's maybe looking for a seafood joint, right? Oh, they had the best shrimp scampi there. They make it with such and such. That's the point of it.
Hmm.
And like I said, I never took review websites seriously, because I always felt people are more likely to write negative comments than they are positive comments. That's just the way we operate as humans, right? Um,
Absolutely.
I've just seen in a Bermuda context, I think it's very bad. And here's what I really want to touch on, and we'll speak about more of it after the break, after the news break. But Bermuda is so small, right? Let's say you're on here, you're going off about HSBC. And then a year from now, you're looking for work, and your resume meets everything that's on HSBC to a T. But yet, you're afraid to apply because you've been on social media and you've bitched and moaned about HSBC.
Yeah.
Folks, this is what I'm saying about small town. How is the best way to respond to poor customer service in Bermuda? Because you, being the customer who have received that poor customer service, may have to apply or to a company that you've blasted because of an individual's behavior. Trust me, I speak to CEOs very often. It happens.
Yeah.
Some of them tell me about my behavior. Oh, they do. I don't know what I do wrong though, Sherry. What do I say?
But just before you go to that, before we move on, Jamal, and I'm gonna give this young lady a shout out. I'm not gonna say what bank she's associated with, but Rochelle Smith. She definitely gave awesome customer service to me. Me, my father, and so forth at the bank. We were literally there all day, and she was just very helpful with and just accommodating. And I told her, I was like, listen, I'm just dealing with you. And she was like, okay, Miss Vanderbilt, no problem. Responsive and all this kind of thing. So if you guys know Rochelle Smith, she didn't know who I was, which was wonderful as well. Please tell her, thumbs up. Great
Yeah,
customer
you know
service.
what, Sherry? You always, when you do that, you always make me feel bad because I don't give enough props to people on the show. But no, I want to give a shout out to everyone that participated in the restaurant crawl. I'm going to go backward. They went above and beyond at Scoops. I mean, laid it out for us. Big props to everyone at Scoops, folks. The customer service is next level. White Horse, I mean, another one. Folks, get on White Horse. I hadn't been in there in years. It's levels to it. And the other restaurants as well, Lit and Time, and also the folks at Food Factory. Tell people, like, we have no complaints. Trust me. There's good customer service in Bermuda.
Food Factory is known for their tacos, but when I tell you that hamburger,
I'm gonna have to ask them make me an impossible or something,
Listen,
but no,
hamburger.
The convo, folks. Don't go anywhere. There's a lot of comments here. We will get to the comments. We're gonna bring Teo Dill in for the news break, but I wonder if Teo has an opinion on this because he's a customer too. I'm sure he has something to say.
Hey, morning, family. Very, very grateful to be part of today's conversation, which I think is essential for the culture, because you both nailed it. In as much as I think that the way that we use some of the online review platforms is more about vindictiveness and vengeance than trying to correct the situation. Like, you frustrated me. Well, I want you to have problems for the next couple of days. And I can understand the emotional impulse to move that way. However, it doesn't make anything any better. You're just, sitting gleefully rubbing your hands together, like, I showed them. Like, hopefully they lose some money. And it's like, I don't understand. I understand the impulse, but I just can't see the value in moving that way. I think it all comes down to like proportionate responses.
Mhm.
So like you buy a salad and there's a goofy piece of avocado in it. like it doesn't even look like avocado. It looked like it may have been crawling around,
Yep.
had friends, children, like that old life history. But it's just that one goofy little piece of avocado. It shouldn't be there.
Mhm.
It's a little gross, but it's not going to poison you. It's not going to destroy your life. It just means that your lunch is going to be a little less satisfactory than
Correct.
you had anticipated. Now, I know that there are some people that dietary restrictions and health challenges and where that genuinely could be a large problem. However, for the vast majority of us, it's not that big of a deal. Like I know you've eaten some goofy avocado at your house. I know you have given goofy avocado to your children. Like you this is not something that is unique or alien to different restaurants and such. But for some reason, folks want to tear that business to the ground, and I just don't know that that's a proportionate response.
But it's almost like, and I hate to say this, hopefully the children are in camp already, but it's almost like some people get an orgasm out of it. It really is. And I say that because if you ever come across some of them, you realize sometimes it's consistently the same people or same kind of people, and it's almost like they get this fixed, like it's a high, and I don't think it's helpful for them as much as it's not helpful for the business nor the person who they took issue with. So no, I appreciate that thing, man. It's crazy, and it's a problem we definitely need to fix in our community, because at the end of the day, as you always say, it's not helpful, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make anything any better. Like Sherry and one commenter underlined a really valuable point, I think, which is to say, in most instances, you tend to receive the energy that you present. Like I very rarely experience bad customer service, and I think part of that is due to the fact that I try in a really deliberate way to be as helpful on my end, or to not be like a negative part of somebody's daily experience. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been involved in customer service. Like anybody that's worked anywhere has had to deal with customer service on some level, and I can empathize with them sort of reflexively. So I come in as polite as can be, as kind and generous as I can be, and 9.5 times out of 10, I get that energy back. And it can be a little difficult sometimes, but the returns on that investment, on that emotional investment, are consistent and overwhelming. So yeah, like if you move a certain way, people tend to move a certain way with you.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I'm trying to smile more, but I don't think the hugging thing worked out because I got a little cold.
Yeah, no, you can't be touching people.
Yeah, I can't.
No.
Hugging's over. Sorry.
Yeah, it's out the window.
Whatever, Jamal. But yeah, and sometimes I think, Teo, just to piggyback on what you're saying, when you even start out like, hey, I'm not having a good experience right now. Maybe you can help me turn this around. I'm letting you know my energy is not good, and hopefully you can help me with this. So I think that's always being just very transparent, but in a calming manner. But
right, like not trying to do emotional violence to people. Yeah, I'm serious. Like there are some instances that I've been adjacent to or like seen online where it honestly feels like as people are typing, they're imagining each of their fingers as their fists and they are punching them directly into the cheekbone.
I had those problems. I did. What you got to news for us, big bro?
A bunch of things. The biggest one, I think, for the national context is the fact that we can all help decide whether Bermuda institutes an income tax for hugely profitable multinational corporations. Now, the public consultation paper on the topic has been published, floating the concept of whether Bermuda-based international businesses with annual revenues of more than $750 million should be taxed to operate here on the island, as explained earlier this week by Premier David Burt, who said that a new global regime of anti-tax avoidance policy may require a fundamental shift in our more than 200-year-old consumption tax model.
The government's current budget relies on funding from various sources, such as payroll tax, customs duty, property tax, and other taxes and fees. And while these taxes contribute to the overall cost of doing business of multinational enterprises operating on the island, they do not qualify for the computation of the minimum effective tax rate per the new international tax rules.
Now, you can find the consultation paper on gov.bm, and you can email your feedback on this proposal to CJ Anderson. That's Anderson with an O at gov.bm. Now, all that said, go, Jay.
I just want to encourage, like, audience, seriously. As I stated the other day, you may not be in the IB sector, but the IB sector impacts you greatly. So I just hope you at least read it, try to understand it. And if you believe you can give input or insight, please do.
Yeah, like the more collective contribution to this particular proposal is generated, the better for everybody. And now to help with that, you might be wondering why we, as a world-renowned low-tax domicile, would be considering an income tax for corporations. Like, it seems like a contradiction to the way that we, to our primary value proposition. Well, the whole thing is almost entirely motivated by a global push from developed nations across the world to claw back some of the taxes that companies at this level have spent generations avoiding by domiciling in places like Bermuda. For example, as of 2019, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, eBay, Adobe, and Cisco collectively avoided paying about $1 billion in UK taxes. Like, these are the type of companies that have it and could pay it, but decide not to benefit their shareholders rather than the communities that they operate in. Now, I have a short video for you from the International Monetary Fund explaining why the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, aka the OECD, agreed to the 15% global minimum tax.
For decades, governments and corporations have been stuck in a cycle. Companies expand to new markets all the time, what allows people to enjoy a lot of the same brands of food, clothes, and entertainment wherever they are in the world. The problem is that companies have also been profit shifting, meaning they're simply claiming the profits from one country in another place, where taxes are lower. And the way in which they shift profits is often complex and can be perfectly legal. But it has created a cycle whereby governments are all lowering their taxes to attract the profits of big corporations. By lowering these taxes, governments are collectively missing out money that could be spent on schools, roads, or healthcare.
You know, I know it seems like big countries, big nations bullying smaller nations, but truthfully, if we take Bermuda out of it, all they're trying to do is make sure that people pay their fair share. We're always talking about the most vulnerable in our communities. At the end of the day, taxes cover roads and so on. Why should Sherry, Teo, and Jamal be paying more than Bezos' Amazon, for instance, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. And their excuse is, well, we hire people we're putting into the economy. Yeah, okay, that's one thing. But you have the means to do more.
Yeah.
Why do you do all that money?
Yeah, well, that's the I guess fundamental argument that justifies this action, which is to say, it is now. I'm not even gonna front. This is genuinely how I feel. Now, it is not just my argument, but this is how I feel. I think it is inherently immoral to have more money than you could possibly spend in 1,000 lifetimes when there are a billion people or so on the planet that don't have access to reliable food, water, shelter, or healthcare.
Agreed.
Just conceptually, that feels like a form of passive violence to me, and to a lot of people. So this is a conversation that is not isolated to Bermuda in any way. Like the entire OECD, the majority of developed nations in the world have basically been pushed by this pledge. So I hope we're able to keep that in context. This is not in any way a Bermuda specific thing at all. Now, His Majesty's, I'm still getting used to saying that, but His Majesty's official opposition has a new leader, as MP Jarian Richardson was officially sworn into the role by Governor Rena Lauji yesterday afternoon. Mr. Richardson is replacing outgoing OBA leader Cole Simons, who's retiring from Parliament after a quarter century of public service. Mr. Richardson explained that his motivation to be in this space at this moment is due to Bermuda's focus on everything goes identity politics and ideological purity, adding, quote, "and the state of our country shows us how well this approach is working out. It's not. Bermudians can no longer afford the politics of personal ambition and the settling of old scores." Now, here is a story for our Apple peeps. No shade to the Samsung devotees, but we all know iDevices are just a little bit more valuable to the culture. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Sherry, you're a wise, insightful person. I'm grateful to be able to repeat that. Anyway, tech insiders have told us that the next iOS update will force you to recalibrate your muscle memory. That is iOS 17, set to drop in like a month, alongside the iPhone 15, has moved the red end call button. So instead of being in the middle of the screen, it'll shift the red button down and to the right, cutting the distance between it and the rest of the call controls. Now, the one obvious downside to this is that if you get hung up on in September, you're not going to know if you're being dissed or whether the other person's finger genuinely just did slip. So keep that in mind to preempt any arguments that you may be experiencing.
Now, Taya, I look at the film and I'm about to, I want to make sure I'm hanging up on you. I just take it away. Especially with Jamal, I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, you want to make sure you get that thing right.
He hugs that film and I'm on it.
You miss a good hang up, on a real phone. Like you just miss it.
Yeah. Like the young people nowadays,
they will never know. They will never know.
I feel so old saying that, but like they don't know what it feels like to hear that ka-chunk. like I've been hung up on in my life at least 4 times that genuinely hurt my feelings. Like I brought up in therapy. For real.
I think I'm gonna rack it on that. About my personal life.
Now, finally. And I think this will be the most fun story today. I know that not just the people in this show on the show today. I know everybody that's part of the audience, everybody that's on the island has probably seen, shared, and squawked at the footage from this week's boardwalk brawl from Montgomery, Alabama, which broke out after a group of white boaters attacked Captain Damian Pickett for asking them to move their pontoon and make room for a city riverboat that was carrying like 200 people at the time. Now, the Montgomery police have got 4 people in custody on assault charges, 2 20-ish-year-old men, a nearly 50-year-old man, and a 21-year-old woman. According to this report, these people were even more trifling than we thought.
The 45 minutes police say the captain spent asking the pontoon owners to move their boat over a PA system was clearly in vain.
Could you hear what these guys were shouting back?
No, I could not hear from where, in my perspective, what they were shouting back. The attitude that they exude was the fact that you're not going to tell us what to do. We were here first.
But there's no doubt they were notified. They knew they were being asked to move.
Oh, they had ample opportunity to move their boat.
Can I say this? We've avoided talking about this for various reasons on the show this week, but I'm so happy that you all know where I'm gonna come from. I don't publicly advocate for violence, but watching them get their asses whooped satisfied my soul so much. It satisfied my soul so much because honestly, man, woman and the disrespect and
Yeah.
it felt like, and to see the people come together to support this black man who literally was getting jumped.
Yeah.
Literally got jumped.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we've seen times, right, where people have stood around and just videoed and watched people literally be choked to death. To see people react like this was so satisfying to my soul. And I just want to say this to people. When we do stuff as a collective, when we protect each other, when we come together to achieve something, we can be on the right side of history.
Yeah.
No,
You are not alone in having your soul satisfied by that.
but rather than when WWE with the chair, I'm not making any excuses for you. I'm
Yeah,
not,
'cause
bro.
that kind of hurt me when he did that. I was like, ooh.
Man, look, all I'm gonna say is Teo, Sherry, and I put some money together, send you some money for the canteen, got your cigarettes and chips and whatever. But we
Right.
can't make excuses for you. Bro. We can't.
Yeah. No, I'm just waiting for.
Too far, you know. I'm usually that person, but always that one that takes too far, right?
Yeah. I mean, caught up in a moment like that.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have whopped that person on the head like that, knock him out the shoes. That was not necessary. But I understand. I laughed. It was marvelous to see, but it was a little disproportionate.
Yeah.
But just in case you're wondering, despite coming out within a couple hours of the initial footage, this, I believe, is the undeniably funniest reaction to the scrap that was shared on the internet. Now, keep your eye on my man right here. Yo, the square up was everything. And like the hat throw like Bobby Shmurda. You remember in the woo,
the hat throw
fresh.
The hat
Yeah,
lie.
Hey,
Oh.
but you know
Yeah,
what?
so-
The other thing is, I know we speak about people recording stuff in this day and age. This is when recording works out because another story would have been told. A story of black people,
Yeah.
group of white citizens, business owners in Selma, Alabama would have been told. We know how this works. So I know we're hard on people saying, oh, stop recording and get out there and help or just move on. But there are times when recording stuff actually is helpful. And I guarantee, based on history, recent history, if this were not recorded, these thugs would have been accused of beating up white civilians, women included.
Well, they recorded and helped.
Indeed.
Yeah.
How's the weather
So-
looking today?
It is going to be pretty good. Well, basically for the weekend. We've had some conflicting patches of high and low pressure banging into each other in our airspace for the past couple of days, which is why we've had all this intermittent hard bursts of rain. But the chunk of low pressure has finally dipped off to the southwest, and the high is now completely dominant, which means that if you have a beach date or boat excursion plan for the next couple of days, you probably will be able to go without needing an umbrella,
right.
which is always pleasant.
I think Round the Island boat race is on Sunday, so I think you'll go out and enjoy that. That's your daily hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sherry, you got the days of the year for us?
Yeah, today is Hip Hop Day. Now, of course, it's mainly celebrated in the U.S., but Bermuda is definitely has some hip hop heads here. Hip hop has progressed from street corner to one of the most important musical genres and cultural impacts in the world. Hip hop was shaped by many different artists, but there's a case to be made that it came to life precisely on August 11th, 1973, when a birthday celebration in the recreation room of an apartment building in New York City, West Bronx, by DJ Kool Herc, hip hop founding father.
Kool Herc was
Pardon me?
Was Kool Herc Jamaican or something?
Not sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he was born in Jamaica, but his parents were Jamaican, I think.
Okay.
So I would like the audience to put in the chats, the comments. What's their favorite hip hop artist or maybe hip hop song? What's yours, Jamal? Then Teo.
I'll tell you. You want to give us a quick freestyle?
Oh,
Man, I turned 40 a year ago, and I'm genuinely too old for that now.
Okay.
Like I can still rhyme. I'm nice. I'm still nice, but I gotta write it though. Like coming off the dome is it just doesn't work the same way. I'm out of practice. You know how like when like an aging athlete, like they gain weight, their muscles lengthen and all that, or shorten kind of thing. It's the same thing for rapping too. Like I'm still nice, but
I got one of my favorite songs. Of course, probably nobody knows, but MC Lights "Kick It" for my DJ. It was one of my. Oh yes, Teo.
No. That's a relatively deep cut. I'm feeling that.
Thank
Props.
you. She
taste.
actually sang it. She actually rapped it on one of the hip hop celebrations.
Well, who's your favorite? Tell you what's your favorite hip hop song and artist?
Hove, Dead Presidents, the original version.
Okay. I got two by one artist. I think the one that gets me because of the way I feel about black men in particular, Tupac, Life Goes On. You know, and second Tupac just changes.
That's a big one.
Spoke into existence what we face today, right?
Yeah.
So those are my two top ones, right there. But
well, I can add to mine. Reasonable Doubt, of course, like Jay-Z. It's so much I could say.
The audience are all Black Sheep, PM Dawn, KRS.
PM Dawn?
Wow.
Who said PM Dawn? Go back.
Killer Mike. Yes.
PM Dawn?
Yeah.
Set Adrift on Memory Bliss it was good, but like the best?
Public Enemy, Fight the Power, J. Cole.
Word.
J. Cole took me because my hip hop song like today, All My Life by some guy named Lil Durk and J. Cole. Man.
Yeah.
By Lil Durk.
I ain't never heard of him until I saw the song. Queen Latifah, Ghost Killer, and the rest of the Wu.
Ghost, no doubt. Yeah. Ghost is it list.
Yeah, we got Lou and Derek. Man, this is good, folks. We're gonna get
Mark knows what's up. Like Mark is an aficionado. Like he's that guy. So yeah, Low End Theory is unquestionably perfect.
Tay, we'll see you later, bro. Have a great weekend,
my man. Bye. Take care, y'all. Thank you.
We're gonna take a quick break. Bye. After this.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose Peoples, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it Peoples, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. Peoples, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level.
Birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandytown Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Alrighty, I was going to say Tupac, hit him up, but that's just too grimy for a morning show. Folks, a lot of responses for the question earlier, how can we Bash respond to poor customer service in Bermuda. So just want to go back to some of the responses. Sam Cat Place said sometimes sarcasm with a smile works. Then you have to go over someone's head and straight to management. It's no way I'm spending money and I have to deal with your problems and your rudeness. I bite. This one's a bit too long, so I'll read it from the side. Mia Hartman says, unfortunately, employers pay less yet have tripled the workloads. Everyone says employees should leave their problems home. However, 8 to 10 customers walk into an establishment, feel entitled. They come in with chips on their shoulders. Also, customers need to understand that staff are there to serve them. However, staff are not their servants. There is a difference. I also find working in the tourism industry, a certain demographic just don't want people like me to even speak to them, let alone hold out my hand for them. So that's coming from someone in this customer service space. Sean DeShield says, customers have the purchasing power and can respond by seeking alternative options. To me, that's probably the best solution.
Yeah.
You know, Teo used to say it all the time, and people will get mad at us on the radio, and they'll call up and you're just so rude and this and that. And he'd say, well, you know, you don't have to listen. No one's forcing you to listen. I used to always edge it on and say, you're not being conscripted into listening to the station, you know, but again, we have choices.
But
we don't have to go back.
We don't, Jamal. You and I probably don't. But when you're thinking about Bermuda and the small community that we're in, there isn't many choices. It really isn't. And so with that being the main issue, how can we work from the inside of and help people to have better customer service? Because there isn't, you got this bank or this bank. And
I'm glad you used that example, because let's use banks. Banks are different from grocery stores. What do I mean by that? There's only so many grocery stores, but you can go back and forth depending on how you feel. With banks, the amount of things you have to go through just to open a bank account is not as easy as just saying, well, I'll just go to, you know, to the other bank. So point taken, Sherry. That's a very valid point.
Yeah, we definitely, you know, so in such a small community like this, I think we just have to learn to give each other grace, but not be abused by it. It's two different things. And like Mia Hartman said, the entitlement as well. Let's just find a balance within all of that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, you know, as the Rastas say, I and I. The reason I and I just means that we are level. It's not you and I. We are one, right? And I think that as customers, we have to take that approach with those who are there in their job, right, to help provide a service to us. We, the customer, have a role to play in the service that we receive. Ebony Souza says, I'm ready to host a customer service boot camp. Fast response is customers giving feedback upon incidents. Being patient and kind helps with the delivery and receptiveness, FYI. I actually would support that. A customer service boot camp. Like, okay, Sherry, you go into somewhere, you're upset because what the item that you purchased was not good. And you feel like you're not getting the proper service to deal with it. Is reacting in a hostile manner going to solve the problems?
It doesn't, but Jamal, I'm going to tell you, I'm a different person than I think most, because I really try to calm the person down and try to figure out a solution with that person, knowing that I'm like, okay, the hostile, the upset, I acknowledge that. But I've also had training on having difficult conversations. I've also been trained in forensic interview. Like, my training has been a number of years. So, but everybody doesn't have that, right? So again, how can we just stop it in the moment? So I'm going to take a moment, me personally, and be like, okay, this person's upset, even probably acknowledge it. They probably had a bad day. And then it kind of breaks, but everyone doesn't have that. And some people don't have the time for it.
Yeah.
You know, so a customer boot camp would be really great for that person to understand that.
Yeah, I like the idea. Anthony Pete says, yes, Sherry, that blasting, it's just not needed. Lady recently said, quote, do better, end quote. One respondent asked her where she worked. She shared, and now where is her post? Deleted it. Screenshots last forever. They do. Ebony Souza says the bad reviews and piggybackers are damaging. It's annoying, especially coming from those that frequent said establishments that have no record of a good review. That's the point I was making earlier. We are more likely to write a bad review than a good review, and that's why I never got down with reviews, because it was more negativity. Now I think more people are encouraging their customers to write good reviews, which is great. But I like this by Tanya Cheeseman. She says more positive feedback equals better service. I like that. I like that.
And that's why I was saying we have to make sure that we put people out there in a positive manner.
Indeed. Sean Smith says when he was working in the hospitality industry, he was trained to constantly engage the customer to ensure you addressed any problems early if there are any. And we know things change. They probably still are that way. I just don't know. Shamari Talbot says, all the customer wants is what they paid for. A goofy looking piece of avocado shouldn't be on the salad. Quality control isn't an extra, it's a requirement. So, and just a few more. We have Tanya Cheeseman saying that kill them with kindness is my go-to as well, Teo. And Anthony Pete says, Jamel, social media psychosis, I call it, as some actually have, I don't know how to pronounce that word, endorphins released. Tough.
Endorphins.
Yeah, whatever, endorphins, yeah. Tough for them to admit it. It can be impacted. And Angeline Butler says, our consultants say we should use this quote when dealing with patients. Quote, my, how you've changed since I left, you've changed since I have changed, end quote. So energy is real. Okay. So at the end of the day, I think we had a lot of good solutions today. I think, there are ways to improve it. I definitely am going to ride with Ebony Souza about a boot camp, a way to do it. I think there are companies that get customer service right in Bermuda. I'm not going to name them all, but one place I've never had a bad experience with customer service is People's Pharmacy, for instance. I've never had one. And in most places in Bermuda, I've never had a bad customer experience. But other people may have had those experiences there. I think we have to manage our expectations as well, though, Sherry, right?
Absolutely. And that's why I was saying, like, some things can be a one-off situation. Don't write things off just for one-off situations, but also make sure, talk to the manager, speak to the person, calm yourself down.
Yeah. I like Rosalind Famous. She says, back in the day, aging myself, Marketplace used to give you about a week or two of customer service training before you could even start working. That training has lasted me a lifetime. I love that.
And they used to do secret shoppers. I used to be one of them. And I think sometimes that is good in regards to being able to have that customer feedback and not be in trouble.
Did you get anybody in trouble, Sherry?
No. I honestly, and that customer service training must have done well. And it was little things. Do they have the name tag at the time? Were they sitting or trying to stand? And all of this kind of, it wasn't there. But I think that also can be very helpful.
Okay. Let's wrap it up. Folks, if you appreciated today's discussion and news break, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to come back. If anyone gets the answer, I don't know what the question is yet. If anyone gets the answer before Sherry, you will get yourself a prize. All right. So the daily play today is a things you should know. But before you head out, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, and stick with us. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, welcome to ER Fisheries. I'm Jalen Steed, store manager and trained chef, and I'm here to help you with all of your food needs. Let's talk about why you should come and check out ER Fisheries. We offer the widest range of specialty meats and seafood items at a price point that will absolutely fit your budget. As a chef, I'm able to answer all of your food questions, help you come up with meal ideas, and generally guide you in the right direction. You'll get a custom shopping experience unlike any other food store in Bermuda, where we'll cater to your needs and provide you with excellent customer service. Where else can you get quality cooking advice and quality products? I look forward to helping you with all your meal ideas.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to everyone for hanging out with us today. Folks, If you appreciated the discussion, the conversation today, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a daily basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Sherry, are you ready?
I'm ready, Jamal.
It's the things you should know. All right. I just pulled it out, and it's 5 questions on here. So I'm going to ask you. Oh, I don't know this either. What does the acronym UFO stand for?
UFO, unidentified flying object.
She got it, folks. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know that. I didn't know
You
that.
didn't?
I didn't know that.
Really?
I did
You
not.
should have known that, Jamal.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, do it. UFOs or none of that stuff. They're going crazy over now. Yeah, UFO stands for unidentified flying object, folks. Yeah. Congratulations, Sherry.
Thought it might have been a trick, but I was just going to go with what I knew.
Audience, did you know the answer to that? Yes or
I'm
no?
sure everyone knew.
I'm the only one that didn't know?
Possibly.
Oh, okay. That seems so human. But anyway, let's wrap it up, Sherry. Final thoughts on today's discussion.
Well, customer service is very important to us, is very important to this island. As we mentioned, there's not many choices. And so why should we just have all of these negative reviews? Just as much as you give negative, let's get some positive. But I do believe that we should have a customer service boot camp so we know how to handle situations. But on top of it all, I ask that people give others grace and just think about yourselves as well in that. Stop acting entitled.
Yeah. I think we have work to do. As I said earlier, I would encourage us as the customers to do better as well. Everyone's talking about the energy we give out is what we're going to receive, right? We have a role to play. And unless we play our role, we can't expect that others are going to play theirs. So work with people. I don't see anything coming out of going on social media and blasting. Now, again, I said that with airlines and big companies, it may work. You may get fast attention. But you don't have to blast them even on Twitter. You can just say, I've been trying to fix this problem with such and such, and I haven't gotten a response. This is it's a respectful way to do it. But the example I gave earlier, I really want people to take in and remember. And that is, please remember that today you may be good, but next year this time, you may need a job. And that job may be a place that you've blasted on social media because of their customer service. It's quite possible. Think about these things. Sherry, you got some daily inspiration for us?
I surely do. The daily inspiration is being brought to you by ER Fisheries and Foods. There are 3 ways to ultimate success. The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. And the third way is to be kind. And that's from Mr. Rogers. And it's ironic how that kind of ties into everything. And honestly, I probably picked that out maybe a day or two ago. So it's
I'll mind it. But somebody out there, because of that example Teo gave with Montgomery, Alabama, somebody out there is thinking KKK. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because I have a folding chair. I have a folding chair. That was a good quote. Kindness, folks. Customer service, kindness.
You're funny.
They were making fun of you. Michelle always, she finally got one.
No, she didn't put finally. That's your words. That is your words. That's not what she typed, Jamal.
Okay.
You're putting your own stuff on that.
Yeah, I apparently I had I was the only one who didn't know what a UFO stood for, but whatever.
And before we sign on, I just want to say thanks for a lovely trip, everyone. I will be flying out tomorrow, and it was great seeing everyone. And for those that I didn't get to see, then hold it against me.
Yeah, hold it. Well, Sherry, I'm glad you had a good trip to Bermuda. I'm glad that you got to spend time with most of the people that you wanted to. And I'm upset that your team didn't win. They did not win a cup match. But
we still have the cup, so it doesn't matter.
Safe travels back to the mainland, and hopefully I'll be seeing you soon to be a thorn in your side in person as usual.
That's about right.
Anyway, don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sherry Vanderpool. Sorry, on Monday. On Monday, definitely not tomorrow. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please make it a safe and a great weekend. VR is out as soon as I find the outro. Peace.